The next step on this fuselage build is to stand these two halves up over this top view and glue in the cross pieces, bottom and top. These are very close, but not exact. So I want to match sand them, if you will. So I've lined them up and taped them together so I can match sand them. What I'm noticing though, looking ahead, is the bottom of this fuselage is not flat. If I stand it up and these two bays here, if I press it down on the building board, I have a common center line through the middle of the tail section here, through the location of the rear peg, and through the center of the nose, that I have the same measurement when I am holding this area flat on the board. It's 1.5 inches common center line through there. In order to get the best build as far as square on this fuselage, I want to sand both of these so they are identical. That way when I do this build, square up the fuselage halves, glue the horizontal pieces in, it's as relaxed and as straight and as square as I can get it. So that's next. I'm going to sand these two halves, match sand them, and then start building over top of the horizontal view. Sanding with them together like this, now we're getting perfect. I can hold up in the light like that, see any mismatch. It's not much, but we're looking for perfect. That's what matte sanding can do for you. And then everything will go together that much more accurately, square. Here's another one. This is the stop for the horizontal stabilizer where it's going to dethermalize. This platform right here needs to be flat. And that is really good. That way the stab's going to set on the platform the same. And even right down to the covering, closer these are to being a perfect match, and the more square I build them, top and bottom, this could be a nicer looking fuselage. It's probably only talking the difference between the two. With wood, little machinist talk for you, 20 thou at the worst places. Like making these bends in here, putting against the T-pin fence. There's a place or two in here on the top, a little bit on the bottom, and a little bit of difference on the bottom of the tail. Like right there, I can see a little bit of a shadow still. This side being a little higher than that side. And when you match sand like this, I'm just clamping this together. The tape is holding pretty decently, but even when I go to sand, clamping that together so I get no movement between the two. And then I can look at that in the light, and I can see now that that little shadow of this side being slightly higher is gone. So that is plenty good enough. I can even look down it and see how well these bends transition. Like I'll take a little bit off of here, a little bit off of here. Partly from making that bend, the different areas of the balsa being a little stiffer or less stiffer as it makes the bend. It's just variances in the wood. Now at this point, I can eyeball down them and just get nice smooth transitions. They still got a little bit of a hump right here. So I look at it, I hold my sanding block level this way, and I sand in that area, eyeball down it. Yeah, that's really nice. Last thing, as far as sanding the fuselage sides before putting it together, so I'm sanding the outside of these two halves. I want everything nice and level. The balsa fill sections and all the stringers being nice and level with the vertical pieces. These are the only two bays I can clamp it down on the building board with the pin clamps. I am forming the bend with the plain T-pins. I have the front lined up to the print. I have the T-pins on the inside and the outside to follow the curve. The inside ones hold it out to the line. The outside ones hold it in. The center line, the front of the fuselage, is 1.5 inches off the building board, as is the center of the rear peg and the center line of the back of the fuselage. I'm cutting 4 cross members that are all the same length. I got them marked 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 bays, the fuselage is parallel. So I'm cutting all these cross members same length. There they are, 2, 4, 6, 8. Start gluing them in, and then I will tweezer time. Can't reach down there. And then I will have to start gluing these in and maintaining squareness coming up off the board through this section here. And there is the center section done. Nice and square. So I have a ways to go. I have the entire fuselage frame. Got all the 1/8 inch fill in around the nose and where the mount for the horizontal stabilizer. Kept it nice and perpendicular to the building board. But that was a deceptively complex framing job for how simple this design looks. With this curving bottom, having to build up in the air. This wasn't so bad, maybe because as you're bringing the two frames together, it's deeper, it's a bigger frame. But the tail back in here, when you bring the halves together, this isn't a taper coming back here, it's also a curve. So building it in the air, I had to come up with a way to support it. And so I have this sanding block back here that I'm using to support the back of the frame. So I have a pin on either side of the sanding block to keep it from shifting, and I've used the pin clamps to clamp that down. I had to locate these two frame halves as I was bringing it together, as I was adding these cross members. I had to do this to get it centered on the print. With this back section not being a taper, straight taper coming back through here, it ends up being a fuselage that is quite curvy. Has a curve on the top, curve on the bottom. It's curved. The sides of it is curved coming into the front. And it's curved coming towards the back. Here is a classic view to show, looking down through the center of the fuselage. I am going to wet it down one more time. I have it so well centered on the print and perpendicular on the board, I don't want any chance of it changing when I release it. And the reason I say that is, as I was adding these cross members and bringing these frames together, I could feel varying amounts of tension over the length of this fuselage. And I am going to use aerosol this time. There it is. This is a little aerosol pump for my indoor building. Use this little aerosol pump to get the static electricity out of the poly micro film. It's actually pretty controlled because it puts out such a fine mist. let the fuselage dry, and it has stayed straight, perpendicular. That is awesome. Wow. That is beautiful. This is certainly going to be a large rubber powered free flight model airplane.